Richard "Rick" Davies was born on July 22, 1944, in Swindon, Wiltshire, England, and from his earliest days, music pulsed through his veins as if it were part of his very heartbeat. The son of a welder, he was raised in a working-class home where opportunities were limited, but imagination was free. His father's job meant long hours and modest wages, and his mother worked hard to create a home filled with love, discipline, and encouragement. At first glance, nothing suggested that Rick would one day become the driving force behind one of the most successful rock bands in history. But fate had other plans. As a boy, Rick was drawn to rhythm before melody. He began with the drums, banging away with joy and intensity until neighbors could hardly ignore the sound coming from the Davies household. Yet it was when he discovered the piano that his destiny began to take shape. With little formal training, he learned by ear, teaching himself chords and progressions, chasing melodies in the same way other children chase footballs across the fields of Swindon. He devoured records, influenced by the blues and early rock and roll, but also captivated by jazz improvisations and the kind of soul-searching music that demanded both thought and feeling. Music became his refuge and his compass. He spent long evenings bent over keyboards, experimenting, improvising, and refining his skills. His hunger to create was obvious to those around him, and soon he was playing in local bands, adding energy and depth with his ability to command both the keys and his powerful voice. His early gigs were in pubs, clubs, and small halls, and though the audiences were often small, they gave him a taste of the stage life he would one day embrace fully. The turning point came in the late 1960s when Rick moved to London to pursue his dream in earnest. The capital was alive with music, with new bands forming daily and clubs ringing with experimentation. Rick joined a few groups and played wherever he could, but it was his vision for something bigger that eventually gave rise to Supertramp. In 1969, he founded the band, initially known as Daddy, before adopting a name that would echo across the world. Supertramp was never just another rock band. Rick wanted to blend progressive rock with pop sensibilities, combining thought-provoking lyrics with memorable melodies. His musicianship and leadership soon drew in others, including Roger Hodgson, whose partnership with Rick would define the band's golden years. Together, they created a dynamic balance, Rick with his grounded, bluesy, jazz-tinged approach, and Roger with his high-pitched vocals and more ethereal sensibility. Their contrast became their strength. The band struggled at first, facing lineup changes, financial challenges, and mixed reviews. But Rick never gave up. His persistence paid off when Supertramp finally found its footing with the 1974 release of Crime of the Century. This album, featuring The Haunting School and Dreamer, became a landmark, establishing the group as one of the premier progressive rock acts of the decade. Rick's signature Wurlitzer electric piano became instantly recognizable, a sound that fans across the globe associated with both nostalgia and innovation. Supertramp's journey soared higher with the release of Even in the Quietest Moments and Breakfast in America. The latter, released in 1979, became their biggest commercial success, with hits like The Logical Song, Goodbye Stranger, and Take the Long Way Home. The album topped charts around the world, sold millions of copies, and cemented Supertramp's place in music history. Rick's deep, soulful voice carried some of the band's most powerful tracks, and his lyrics often reflected themes of struggle, resilience, and reflection, elements that mirrored his own journey. Behind the fame, Rick's life was more private. Unlike many rock stars of his era, he shied away from scandal and excess. He preferred to let the music speak for him, keeping his personal life relatively quiet. He married Sue Davies, who became both his wife and his strongest supporter. The couple shared a deep and steady bond, one that weathered the storms of fame and the demands of the music industry. Together, they built a life that balanced the chaos of touring with moments of peace and family. Although Rick and Sue did not have children, their life was filled with music, love, and a closeness that many envied. Rick's lifestyle reflected his grounded nature. While many musicians chase the limelight, Rick often retreated from it. He valued simplicity, often choosing the sanctuary of his home life over the glare of publicity. He was known to enjoy painting, collecting vintage cars, and indulging his love for jazz. He had a dry wit and an understated charm that endeared him to friends and fans alike. His dedication to his craft, however, never wavered. Even as musical taste shifted and the band's lineup changed, Rick remained the steady heartbeat of Supertramp. As the 1980s and 1990s unfolded, Supertramp continued to release albums and tour, though tensions between Rick and Roger Hodgson eventually led to Roger's departure. Still, Rick carried the band forward, producing new work and maintaining its legacy on the road. His leadership kept the flame of Supertramp alive for decades, even as health challenges began to emerge later in his life. In 2015, Rick revealed that he had been diagnosed with multiple myeloma, a form of bone marrow cancer. Despite the diagnosis, he faced his illness with the same quiet courage and determination that had defined his entire journey. He stepped back from touring to focus on treatment and family, but he remained deeply connected to his music. His fans rallied around him, sending messages of love, gratitude, and encouragement. Though his health limited his public appearances, Rick's presence remained strong in the memories and playlists of millions. On September 6, 2025, Rick Davies passed away at the age of 81. His death was attributed to complications from his long battle with multiple myeloma. The news sent waves of grief through the music world, with tributes pouring in from fans, fellow musicians, and admirers who recognized not only his immense talent, but also his humility and humanity. His wife, Sue, who had stood by his side for decades, released a heartfelt statement honoring her husband's legacy and thanking the world for embracing his music. Rick's passing marked the end of an era, but his music continues to resonate. Songs like Bloody Well Right, Goodbye Stranger, and From Now On remain timeless. Their melodies as fresh and evocative today as when they were first released. His influence stretches far beyond his own performances, inspiring countless musicians who admired his ability to blend complexity with accessibility, seriousness with humor, and artistry with honesty. Rest in peace, Rick Davies. You gave the world songs that will never fade, and though you're taken a long way home, your music ensures you will always be with us.